Boy, that's a knee slapper there, Ted. You're the funniest guy I know. Hey, you want some Oreos? How about you? You want... Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Is this the Christmas party?
Yeah, man, and now that you showed up, everybody's here. Let me introduce you to my friends. This here is Ted. He works at the Walmarts. This here is Daryl. He works at the Quickie Lube, and I've known him since high school. This here is Richard. He calls the numbers down at the bingo hall. And that lovely lady there to your right is Crystal. She works down at the gas station. So come on in and get comfortable. We're going to play Una and my favorite game, Twister.
Whoa, look at the time. I left my oven on. I think I need to go.
Oh, really? All right. Well, you come on back now. When you do, bring me some of them little Christmas cakes, you know, that are shaped like the trees. And hey, maybe some Mountain Dew.
Good one. What's up, everybody? My name is Scott, and you're watching Kentucky Ballistics. And today, we're going to be having some fun with some snub nose revolvers. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love a snub nose. There's just something about it that makes it so cool, and you could argue there's almost some lore around snub nose revolvers. But are they really all that great? Are they better than their longer counterparts? Well, we're gonna find out just that. Today I have multiple calibers in snubby and full-length versions, and today we're gonna find out if big things really do come in small packages.
What? It's funny! Yeah, it's funny!
Yes! So I had been considering using a zombie torso, but I felt like we needed something a little more consistent today since we're trying to be semi-scientific. So I have multiple blocks of 10% ballistic gel. This is made by Clear Ballistics. They are both 16 inches long, so the two together, we have a total of 58 inches. I'm just joking. I know that it's 32 inches. I forgot. No math jokes on this channel. Anyways, I'm going to start out with a semi-small caliber and work our way up to a larger caliber and see how much penetration we get out of the snub nose version and the long version. The only thing I forgot is the chronograph.
I got it!
Okay, well, we're going to start out with 357 Magnum. We're going to use a long version first, and then we will use the snub nose. So this is a Smith & Wesson model 686 with a 6-inch barrel, and we're going to be loaded up with some Underwood ammo, 357 Magnum 125 grain TAC XPs. Looks like we have a total of about 19 inches of penetration with a pretty big wound channel. And I believe it's right here at the bottom. See if I can dig that out of there real quick. Yeah, that's real nice. Take a look at that. So for our snub nose version of the 357 Magnum, I have another Smith & Wesson model 686, but this is the Performance Center version, and the barrel is just under 2 inches. And this little guy holds 8 rounds of 357 Magnum. So it appears that we did not penetrate as deep as the longer barrel 357 Magnum. We got about 13.5 inches of penetration. If you ask me, that's not that much more penetration for a much shorter barrel that is much easier to pack around. I also want to point out that the round with the longer barrel actually started to deviate and went down, but with the snub nose, we had a more consistent straight line. So now we are going to step it up from 357 Magnum all the way up to 44 Magnum, one of my favorite calibers. For our long barrel version, I have a beautiful Ruger Super Red Hawk, and this thing has a 9.5-inch barrel, and I'll be using some Underwood ammo, 300 grain jacketed hollow points. Shoo-wee! Looking like we have a pretty gnarly wound channel, and we got about 27 inches of penetration. Not bad. Before we move on to the snub nose, I need to point out that that ballistic gel pooted. And if you just had a little chuckle and that's your flavor of humor, then you need to hit that subscribe button because I got a lot more for you. For our snub nose version of 44 Magnum, I have a Smith & Wesson model 629 with a 2.5-inch barrel, and we will be using the same 300 grain jacketed hollow points. Oh, it is so cold. My poor little fingers. Here we go. Oh, yeah, she be kicking. Oh, man. It zipped out the top of the block. That means I get to shoot it again. I'm just going to get really close on this one here. We're not going to play around. Going to try and keep it in that block. Here we go. It stayed in there. No, it didn't. Ah! Shot out the bottom of the table. There it is. Right there. Doesn't look like we had much expansion. I'm going to measure the second one, and before it left the block, looks like we had a little over 21 inches of penetration, or right at it. Ah! Oh! See what goofing off gets you? Drop your gun on the ground. Dang it. Are you okay? Oh, no. Oh, she'll be fine. So we can see here, but I have a booger on my finger. So we can see the differences here between the longer barrel and the snub. The longer barrel definitely was able to create a little more energy and create a little more expansion. The bullet that came out of the snub nose actually acted a little more like a full metal jacket. Got a little squirrely and shot out the bottom, but again, in my opinion, that's not that much more penetration when compared to a 9.5-inch barrel. Naturally, the next step up from 44 Magnum is gonna be 454 Casull. I have here a Taurus Raging Judge chambered in 454 Casull with a 6.5-inch barrel, and I'll be using some Underwood ammo, 300 grain jacketed hollow points. Woo! I like that. That is pretty gnarly. Let's see what kind of penetration we got. Looking like about 25.5 inches. So now for the snub nose version of the 454 Casull, I have here a Ruger Super Red Hawk Alaskan with a 2.5-inch barrel, and I'll be using the same 300 grain jacketed hollow points. Holy cow! So now it's starting to get interesting. The snub nose penetrated deeper than the longer barrel. Now I'll break out my handy dandy, oh, that's not my tape measure. It's a Christmas cake. No need in letting this thing go to waste. Oh yeah, that's pretty sweet. You know, that's sweet getting your start in weapons technology and gunsmithing at SDI. Check them out. Link in the description down below. Okay, I found my handy dandy tape measure. It looks like we got just a little over 30 inches of penetration. So what we've seen so far is the longer barrels are out penetrating the snub nose revolvers. But now with the 454 Casull, we are seeing deeper penetration with the snub. That don't make no sense. Here is the bullet from the longer barrel, and here's the bullet from the shorter barrel. So it appears the round from the longer barrel was moving faster, dumped its energy quicker, therefore expanding quicker, and penetrated less. Out of the snub nose, we still had a pretty decent dump of energy, but it was indeed moving slower, therefore it expanded slower and allowed the round to penetrate a little bit deeper. So now it's time to step it up to the big boys. Up next is 460 Smith & Wesson Magnum. This is a Smith & Wesson 460 with an 8 3/8 inch barrel, and I will be using some Underwood ammo, 300 grain jacketed hollow points. And just for reference, this is 454 Casull. That is what we just shot, and this is 460. We have quite the wound channel at the beginning, and it appears we have about 28.5 inches of penetration. That is a lot of penetration. So for the 460 Magnum, I have a very special snub nose. This is a Smith & Wesson 460 Magnum ES. The ES stands for Emergency Survival, and these used to come in a orange bear survival kit, and it came with all kinds of other cool little things. And this thing has a 2 3/4 inch barrel. So as you can imagine,
She be kicking.
Shoo! That is pretty wild. Looks like our wound channels are almost exactly the same. That's 29.5 inches. It's pretty crazy that a 2 3/4 inch barrel got just as much penetration as the 8 3/8 inch barrel. Now I will say the longer barrel is definitely delivering a little more energy here at the beginning, but that is nothing to shake a stick at. So now seeing the bullets, that pretty much is testament to what I was saying. That is out of the longer barrel, and you can see that it expanded a lot more. And out of the snub, that was more like a full metal jacket. We had some expansion, but not great. Also, I got a little bit closer with the snub. You can see so much unburnt powder on that block. Okay, who's gonna get it this time? So last but certainly not least, we have 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, my absolute favorite handgun cartridge. And I'll be using a Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum with an 8 3/8 inch barrel. And I'll be loaded up with some Underwood ammo, 350 grain jacketed hollow points. We have gone through a lot of ballistic gel today. I just want to give a big thank you to Clear Ballistics for being so awesome. Yeah! As you can see here, that is the biggest wound channel we have had all day. We dumped a lot of energy, but it looks like we only penetrated about 22 to 22.5 inches. And now for the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum snub, I have a Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum with a 4-inch barrel. We have another similar result as the 460 Magnum. Also, I want to point out that we have busted our table just from the sheer force of these blocks getting hit with these rounds. Our wound channel is not as wide as our first wound channel, but it looks like we got about 25 inches of penetration. So this is pretty cool. When we got to the larger caliber snub nose revolvers, they were not expanding as much, but they were penetrating deeper. This time, the 500 Magnum penetrated deeper with the snub nose, and we still got pretty good expansion. This is from the longer barrel, and this is from the snub. We still got a lot of expansion and energy dump. So today I've shot multiple calibers and blew through tons of ballistic gel just to answer a question that I already knew the answer to. The best gun out there is a 500 Magnum snub nose. All right, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure and give it a like and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to check me out on all other social media platforms. Links to those can be found in the description down below, along with a link to KentuckyBallistics.com just in case you want to pick up a shirt. I'd also love to know what your favorite snub nose revolver from today's video was. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, my name is Scott. Thank you so much for watching Kentucky Ballistics. I'll see you next time.